All right, so now we're recording. Now that Joelle finished talking about 5-year-olds going to the bathroom or what? All right, so now we're recording. Now that Joelle finished talking about 5-year-olds going to the bathroom or whatever.
You're the one who did this.
I'm the Dungeon Master. I bring up whatever I want. So, in the last episode of the podcast, the group had awoken from fitful dreams and nightmarish sleeps, each one having a different prophetic nightmare. I'm not going to go into detail about any of them, but important characters from history and from the world have made some slight appearances in all of them. Percy, however, having the one dream that sort of connected everybody together in some weird sense, waking up with strange markings on his hands, which apparently now he understands because Giantish has come back to him. He sees giantish glyphic symbols on his hands that are storm and what was the other one?
Doesn't remember again.
Cloud.
Stone.
Cloud and storm.
Cloud and storm.
Thank you, Sarah. And so,
Hail,
Cloud, Storm,
baby.
Storm. Yeah. And so with that, he strangely has those two things emblazoned on his hands, but not much of an understanding of why or what's going on. But the party gathers their things and heads off to Rollid. Not Rallid. To Rollid. To go take care of whatever this dwarfy infestation is up there and to figure out what's going on with Shinzi and all that nonsense, as well as maybe get to the bottom of whatever's going on with TRA. But yeah, the party on their travels, however, in the middle of a very important discussion about dragons, the group gets stopped in the road by a very unfortunate group of bandits who are very quickly going to learn the woe of their ways. So before the party, about 30 feet down the road, walking out of some of the brush, a group of 6 armed and armored bandits pop out, and one of them takes a step forward, and he has a rapier, and he aims it towards you guys, and he says, "You're walking in the grounds of the Bent Shiv Brigade. If you've got brains in your skulls, you're going to give us the coins from your pockets, and you'll live. Don't make me use this." And he swings it around, and you hear an audible... Sorry.
So he's within 30 feet of Karsken and Vireen.
Yep.
And how far away is everyone else from him?
They're all pretty much in a little hexagonal cluster. Like a little
And is
mob.
there anyone else in the area?
No, these are the first people we've seen in like a couple hours. Sun's about to go down, and it makes sense to probably set up camp soon, but yeah.
So can I cast a spell at him?
We're going to have to roll for initiative, because casting is going to alert them of your things. So,
Now, I just want to let you gentlemen know that you did capture all four of us once before, but we are, if I had to strangely quantify it, at least twice as strong as the last time you encountered us. So,
and so they look back and forth. They look back and forth at one another, and they say, "Wait, these are those mercenaries that aced the last group." Yeah, and then the one in the front with the rapier says, "Yeah, that's right. Chief Durg, he didn't stand a chance. But you know what? I'm the new chief of this bandit crew, and I'll tell you what, I'm twice as strong as you guys, and I can prove it too."
I'll
Liar.
What'd you say, Sarah?
I made a Hank Hill joke.
Ah, very good.
Well, we don't want any trouble. I'll hand over the gold.
Wait, did you tell them to hand over the gold?
No, I'll hand over the gold.
And then the chief seems to kind of relax his posture a little bit, and he says, "Yeah, see, I told you I was twice as strong. I didn't even have to cut these guys to get the money this time."
I'll reach in my pocket, pull out like the 5 gold I'm keeping on me. This is all the gold I have to my name, sir.
So what they say, well, I guess you should have been a little smarter than hanging out in the swamps at this time of night. Don't you have any brains? And so he starts walking over to you guys and holds out a hand, ready to grasp the gold. And he walks up to the group, and he kind of stands there amongst all 4 of you and grabs at the gold. Are you actually handing it over?
Yeah, I'll hand it to him.
Okay, so he grabs it, and he starts walking back to the little group of them, and he says, 5 gold? And he looks back at you guys, and he says, "You guys are a bunch of losers." And they say, "Come on, guys, let's go to the camp." And they just start heading off the trail.
Perfect. I love shooting people in the back.
Oh God.
No, if they're heading back to their camp and that's it, then yeah, I'll let them go.
Damn. Okay. And they're just stupid enough that they believed you right off the spot. They're like, wow, only 5 gold. What a loser. Okay. So they take the 5 gold and they just head off into the woods.
I don't trust it. Stay alert.
Talk about the most anticlimactic thing. I left the last episode like we were going to destroy, and then you're like, here's $5, and they just leave, and it's like,
Whoa.
back to the story, I guess. Okay.
We can't just kill dwarves and their brothers every episode.
Damn.
Can I have 5 more from the community pot, please?
Nope.
No.
God.
Yeah.
That was a unanimous note from
Word.
everyone else in the party.
Okay. And so with that, the group just kind of shrugs and whatnot and heads on their merry way up the road. Okay. And so with that, the party, it is about that time of night where you would want to set up camp just because it's dark out. And you are still in the marshlands, so it might be a little difficult to get a nice camping spot. But what would you guys like to do for a camping spot?
Are we by a bridge?
No, okay, there are no bridges nearby. I have made a very strong point to leave out bridges.
There are woods on either side of us.
Jeff Bridges approaches. No. Yes. No, it is. You guys are in the middle of like the marshland wilderness with a rough path leading your way.
So can't we just find like a little
Dry patch.
dry patch with
Sure.
some trees?
Somebody
Can I
want to
make
roll
a
survival check?
survival? Yeah, I was gonna say, can I make a survival check to see?
I don't have survival. Does that matter?
Soft 20.
He's the only one doing it.
Okay, cool.
What'd you say?
Soft 20.
Okay, so you actually managed to find an interesting location. When you are heading around and looking for this dry patch, what you find is a riverbed, and you're looking for like thickets of moss that seem to have kind of elevated above the mushy ground and are kind of sitting above it, giving you a bit of like a carpeting. But instead what you find is this strange squat and like wide based tree that's got a bunch of roots that sort of gnarl out like a kind of like a crawling hand, and you can see that it reaches down to a little bit of a trickling stream down here. But what's nice about it is beneath it's all kind of like silty, dry, like clay-ish mud, but it's not like wet to the touch. It's just cool and damp. But there's got to be at least 10 square feet down here, and there's enough holes in the top of the tree basin, and it's high enough up that you could probably light a decent fire down here, and the smoke would just billow out normally, and nobody would be able to see it around anywhere.
Yeah, guys, I think I found a pretty good spot for us, so we could probably set up here.
Okay. And so party gaggles on in, sets up a small little fire inside the tree, and yeah, so the party has a pretty restful sleep down here. The sound of the trickling stream giving you guys quite a bit of comfort in the early hours here. But what's the order of the watch?
I'll
I
take
can
one.
go first.
So Grus first.
I'll take 2.
Okay. Third and fourth? Vireen and Percy? All right. Okay, cool. So with that, the order of the watch goes by without hitch. One thing I will say is that the sound of all the animals seems to take on a really nice rhythmic chant as the hour gets really, really late, almost to the point that it's early, and you guys sort of hear kind of like a lulling melody amongst all the bugs and everything outside, to the point you almost forget about the fitful sleep you had last night. And everybody probably has this strange sense of like hesitance to falling asleep again, knowing very well that what happened last night might happen again. But yeah, so I mean, as everybody seems to go to rest, Grus is the only one up in the middle of the night, and it seems like it's absolutely peaceful. Did anybody have anything they want to talk about before everybody went to sleep? Or we just
Yes. What's our plan when we get there? Are we just like straight up asking for like who are we asking for? Like what's going on? I just would like us to talk about an actual like what are we doing?
Joelle forgot the story.
No,
So,
not
like,
that. Just
when we
like
get to this location or
no!
person or object, what is the action
But,
we will likely take?
There's several like people where like there's several people that are like all a part of this. So trying to figure out like who are we trying to see first? Are we trying to see like I forgot Elf Lady's name?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right? Or are we seeing Shinzi the painter? Like who are we trying to see first? Or like that's what I'm trying to get
Does
at.
anybody remember some of the nonsense that the Dwarf brothers had mentioned about the painter specifically?
That he was like, no one had heard from him or something like that. And then it wasn't really like that was where they thought he was, but no one really knew if he was there or went to see him or anything like that.
And does anybody remember a certain other name that was brought up?
Oh,
Ooh.
Furley.
Early the Blue. And so now, yeah. So, I mean, it is a good point, though, from Grus, though. Is there, like, some main order, or are you guys just marching in and asking questions when you get there, or is there, like, an attempted plan of like, you know, something?
I want to kill that dwarf who killed all the fishermen.
Agreed.
Like,
Okay.
he's my number one target. Like, I want to wrap up that loose end first.
Named Warjack.
And then I feel like, I don't know, investigating
Well,
after
he might
that.
have more. He might have more information as to like, kind of what's going on because it sounds like he works closely with, TRA and knows of Shinzi or might know where he's at.
Yeah, so
Good.
I would say that's where we're going to aim for first in my...
So who's going to interrogate him this time? Because my tactics apparently were too brutal.
I don't
Turned
do
to a whole new
military.
alignment and everything. I mean, I will say-
I think a multi-pronged attack by a team of knowledgeable adventurers is a really great plan.
Murder hobos. Very good. But, I don't know. I will say, out of the characters in the group who are chaotic, Percy handing over 5 gold and that whole thing dissolving immediately is the most chaotic thing I have ever witnessed in my entire life. He went from running and gunning Macho Shooter Man to literally handing 5 gold over and just letting them go. Like,
He was very tempted to shoot them in the back, but
I am so scared of this man already. I'm running the game, and I'm afraid of him on my sleep. Like, he just handed over 5 gold and was like, yep. And that's just, okay, chaos it is then. Chaotic neutral at its finest. He's like, I didn't feel like killing today. Would have taken too long, and I'm sleepy.
This makes me think of the guy from No Country for Old Men, just like walking around.
Just flipping a coin. Heads or
Just
tails.
like,
they're just lucky today my hands hurt.
I'm afraid that's the thing. You can't use a crossbow. You're like, ow! Just shoot Karsken in the butt. My butt flap. My cloaca.
Tony has a butthole.
Oh, whoa.
What, his cloaca?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the second
People
time we're
get
bringing
shot
it
in
up.
People get shot in the butt by crossbows a lot in your games, Dan.
It's usually me.
Yeah.
When was the last time that happened?
To say,
Batavia.
That's true, but it was a non-lethal shot and she cared about you, so maybe we shouldn't be biting the hand that feeds us cool characters.
Yeah, she was pretty legit. All right. Fine.
She was gonna kill you. Anyway, so the party goes into a restful sleep, understanding that it'll probably be when they get there that they understand what they're going to do next. But with that, I'm going to need everybody to wipe off 1 trail ration. Oh, that's right. I'm a DM. Who cares? Yeah. Yeah. Unless somebody wants to go fishing in the stream.
I can try my hand at it, you know.
Yeah, I'll go fishing.
Who's got survival?
Just Karsken.
I'll go untrained fishing.
I got an 11.
Okay, and I'll let you go at disadvantage, following in the footsteps of
No,
Karsken.
I just go with him to watch.
Oh, okay. I mean, you could try it if you want
No,
to.
man, you put the stick in
All
the
right,
water.
all right.
Well,
and
why don't
see if he can do it.
why don't we say that you instead helped Karsken? We can give him that. Don't you get advantage now, Karsken?
Yes.
I think that makes a little bit more sense.
I don't know how helpful Percy would be, but yeah, I give him the help action.
Sure.
It didn't change. 11 is still my highest.
All right. I mean, it's enough that you grab breakfast. You can find enough little fishes that you cook up for breakfast for the first day. For the first meal. And so that you cook them over a little pot that you guys have and head off on your merry way in the early morning back onto the road, which is not far from where you are. And you start heading north again. On this day of travel, because you're getting closer to Ingvar, the marshlands start to open up a little bit, and you guys are officially in what appear to be like plains. There's thickets of trees every once in a while, the occasional rolling hillock, but for the most part, it's wide open fields. You guys can hear birds and small critters prancing about all over the place. You can hear the bird song of morning birds that fade over the daytime as the sun rises and falls, changing from morning songs to noon songs to the sounds of the morning doves in the evening. And as the party's traveling down this road, they pass by the occasional carriage, the occasional merchant, the occasional travelers, and luckily, no general sense of trouble. But I will say that out of absolutely nowhere, there is one moment where the party's just walking down the trail, kind of just bebopping, doing their general thing, maybe whistling a tune or something like that, that Vireen feels a strange grazing at the back of her neck. And as a huge gust of wind comes rolling from the south to the north at you guys' backs and kind of blows everybody's hair forward, Vireen, you swear you hear something mentioned to you in the back of your head as you hear something kind of brush by, almost like a roaming whisper. You hear something say, "Fly fast, hurry, child." And everybody else is just normal. So you're in the front row and you kind of look back to see if maybe Grus is playing tricks. It's just Grus like, "Gotcha,
A
bitch."
long tube, just like.
Okay, so. Just like, why do we bring her?
Because I'm
Is it a male voice or a female voice?
It sounded. Can I get a perception check?
Ooh.
15.
It sounded like 4 or 5 voices in one.
Oh.
I'm not that good.
Not yet.
She was one of them.
Uh,
Hello.
I'm pretty sure Grus has done 5 different voices.
This is true. Well, at least she's got 2 down.
Right? Or like go faster or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, fly fast.
Fly fast.
Yeah. Speed pass. Go to Six
Okay.
Flags. More flags, more fun.
Let's go, guys.
Okay, so anyway, do you make any mention of this, or do you just kind of like,
I'm just gonna be like, yo guys, let's go.
what do you think we're doing, you rube?
I'm gonna walk faster silently so that they match pace to me.
It's so passive aggressive.
Is
Are
like,
you okay? Is everything okay?
I haven't spent like a lot of time in the company of other people, but like,
Yep,
there's
she's doing
something off, right?
She's doing double time. Let's go, Karsken. Hurry up.
She just full on
My
sprinting
legs
away.
won't let me do this.
There's a gust of breeze, and she just like Homer screams, just like, "Ah!" And just starts just running.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not normal, right? Like, she is a chaos sorcerer. But
It's
okay,
really awkward.
I just like
did she fart in that
picture-
breeze? She's just like,
picture
gotta
how
outrun it, gotta
imagine
outrun
it
it.
would be if you're
was
a
a
group
really
of
big
people
crop
walking
of
together and the
people.
person next to you just keeps speeding up, and then you go to match them and they speed up again, and you're like, am I doing something wrong? Like, she didn't say anything. Does she not want to walk next to Karsken anymore?
No, she just wanted to crop dust roofs.
As we're now in a jog trying to keep up, just Vireen, why are we moving so quick?
Just gotta get where we're going, man.
That's not weird at all!
Yes, but save energy. Walk.
Go ahead and roll your deception.
Oh, 14.
Okay. And now everybody else can roll an insight against it. I don't often like to do this for groups, but when I do...
A 19?
I got a 16.
That's a
You got a
natural
4.
19.
He just thinks it's him.
Okay, so I'm sorry, what did you get, Joelle?
16.
Okay, so, and then Karsken didn't make it. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so you two can tell she's, like, just, something's up. Carson's like, sometimes you just gotta go.
Didn't want to walk next to me anymore. I get it.
Just somehow it
Guess
always
I
becomes
won't
insult.
cry.
Maybe she's testing your speed, Karsken. Let's just hurry up.
Somewhere Gallet's like, a glorious test! Go home! But, okay. And so with that, I guess the pace is regained, and the party continues on this trail. By the end of the second day of travel, you guys seem to have reached the outskirts of the lands of Ingvar. As you guys can see, the occasional cottages and little hamlets and thorps popping up on the hills. You guys can see yeomen walking around with their sheeps and with all their little critters, kind of keeping them in little droves and walking home now that the sun's starting to set. But now that the sun is starting to set, what would the party like to do for some sort of shelter?
Make another survival check to find some place to camp.
I just meant like a general idea of like what would be best.
Because we're on the outskirts of town, right? Like,
Well, Ingvar is actually, the Silver Sheen itself is the capital city of Valminth, and it's actually a pretty booming city, but you guys are passing small hamlets and thorps along the way, so there are places you could potentially go and stay with people, but the idea of having like a functioning tavern or an inn or something like that is probably very much so out of the question. So I guess the question is, would you want to go camping? And if so, where? Or would you like to try your luck with maybe staying with people? And if so, where?
Perhaps we should ask.
You
What were you
go
saying, Joelle?
first.
No, Joelle, you were talking earlier
just
too.
tell-
Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know if it makes sense for us to try to go stay with people. There's a couple of us that are just kind of odd and don't normally dwell up here. So it might raise some eyebrows, and I don't think people would take too kindly to, a Dragonborn and a Svirfneblin.
listen, I
just
mean,
being like, "Can I
Vireen is
sleep at your
awkward,
house?"
but like,
I was waiting to
she
make the
has
joke
her
too.
own kind of charm. It's kind of rude to talk about her like that.
I'm talking about us.
Oh,
And jogs away immediately.
yeah.
I can't keep up. I'm only 3'2". My legs are so short.
Well, it would be nice to not tent out in the wilds again.
Yeah, but I just don't think people will take kindly to us.
Well, I mean, and for what it's worth, I mean, the sky above is pretty nice. So it's like, it's not a rough night to be camping.
How about I'll try my luck, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Can I look for any, like, a house that has, like, a barn or another, like, sub-building near it?
Yeah, I mean, each one of these little sort of thorps that you pass by, they all have sort of like a community sort of barn-ish sort of setup. You know what I mean? You pass by a few of them in like an hour. You pass by like maybe 2 or 3 of these little setup communities, but each one's only got like 4 or 5 buildings in total. But most of them have something of like a community shed.
All right. Well, I pick this house, and I pick a random house and go up to it and knock on the door.
Okay. So the party starts clearing the small groups of fields out here and wander down into the clearing to one of these little hamlets. And you walk up to the door of a small stone cottage, and you knock at the door. So the door opens up, and before you is a curly-headed old man who seems to be about 4'8" or so, and he sort of just looks you guys up and down really quick, and he says, "Who are you?"
We're adventurers looking for a place to lay our heads tonight.
So his face immediately sours, and he says, "Adventurers? You mean mercenaries?" And he just slams the door shut.
We're willing to pay.
And so the door cracks open a little bit, and he says, "How much?"
A gold piece.
And so with that, the door opens a little more, and he says, "I'll have the missus make some tea. You can stay in the shed."
That's mighty kind, thank you.
And so with that, after about 30 minutes or so, a little old lady comes wandering out to you guys with a small wooden platter, I guess I'd call it. It's like a tray, but it's beaten and warped, but she comes out with a couple of little cups of a couple of little cups set up, and they seem to be something like sort of like a like gourds that have been dried and like shaped to be cups. And she's got a boiling dented kettle, and she's got a few things of tea ready to go. And so with that, she comes wandering out to you guys, and she basically hands over the tea and kind of scaredly scurries away.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly, ma'am.
Okay. And so you guys are sitting inside of a small barn. It's really not much of anything. There's no second story to it or anything like that. Only a locked off room in the back, which probably is full of hay. But you guys can see that there's a couple of barn cats up in here.
Could be full of treasure.
Probably. There's also a cow and a few goats, maybe some chickens in the back too. But for the most part, it's just like kind of like a menagerie of small bits of animals here.
That could be full of treasure.
But yeah,
No.
yeah, just cut them open. But the barn cats seem to be really hesitant to the group. But one of them, the brave, smoky-colored one, comes leaping off the top shelf and comes wandering over to you guys and lets out a large and loud, rambunctious.
Oh.
I put my little hand out.
Okay,
And
and
I
the thing
go,
comes
"Grab."
over, and it immediately rubs its head on your hand and like flops over onto its back and displays its tummy for scratches.
I
Grus-
hesitantly try to go touch its tummy for scratches.
Grus,
And
it's trying to lure you in to kill you. Don't do it.
it claws onto your
Because
hand
Percy
and
says
starts.
it, I don't want to.
Oh.
No, because Percy says it, I'm gonna do it. That's
Oh,
what I
okay.
meant to say.
It claws onto your hand and starts chewing on your fingers and does that thing where they kick their back legs up and do that rapid thing. But it seems like it's trying to play with you with it.
It's gonna get you.
Nice.
but-
I'm just gonna try to pull like a string off of like one of my pieces of clothing and just like
Okay. And so you do that for a few minutes or whatever. And as the din of the group is starting to settle, can I get just, let's see, because there's the four of you guys. I'll tell you what, somebody extinguish, 2 people just need to extinguish trail rations and you'll be all set thanks to the fish from the morning.
I got it.
Okay. And so as you guys are eating your dried meats and your cheese and your little bits of flatbread here, you
and
do
I
hear...
give a little piece of meat to the cat.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say is that as you're playing with the cat and feeding it, you can hear the sound of little whimpering mews in the background. You can hear the sounds of probably a small group of kittens. And you notice that the other cat that was here has already kind of gone back to its little flock. So the orange one that was in here is already back over there.
I'm gonna go chill with them the whole time.
Okay. And so what's the order of the watch? Or is everybody just going to sleep?
I think we should take watch still. I'll take first shift.
Okay. Who's second?
Karsken will go second.
And then third?
All right, so I'll go last.
Okay. Grus, can you give me a charisma check?
Yeah, sure.
This is
Okay, I crit.
Okay, so
All
you walk
right.
over to the cats, and hold your hands out in a very delicate and gentle way, and the cats all sort of start meowing at you, the 2 adult cats, and the mama cat has like 3 kittens at it. 2 of them are orange and 1 of them is gray. And as you approach, the mama cat meows a couple times, but just kind of lays its head back down, not noticing any threat whatsoever. And the kittens sort of start like meandering over to you, mewing, and they sort of welcome you to come sleep over next to them in a warm little corner in the hay bale.
Heck yeah. This is I know a family show, but can I use my herbalism kit to make some catnip?
I will not stand for this. They are baby kittens.
That's sick.
It's fucked up. You and your essential
So
oils.
early.
God damn it, Joelle.
They could
You
have
have
been
no idea
thinking-
the effect that catnip has on developing kitten brains.
So with that, the group has the night pass by pretty easily, and come morning.
Wait, did I make it or not?
No, you did not make it, you druggie. You swine. And as the night passes by uneventfully, you guys are awakened to the sound of the barn doors swinging open when Grus is just waking up and getting ready for her watch. And you guys can see that the cow is being let out, as well as the goats, by the old man with like his little shepherd crook, and he's kind of hoisting everything out here and letting you guys still sleep in the back in the dark. But yeah, so as the morning comes to rise and the group start heading out to continue their path north, instead of going to Silversheen, they're planning on heading up to Rollid. But as you guys are walking out of the barn, one of the kittens does seem to follow Grus the way out. The little gray cat. Oh.
I try to tell it to stay with its mom.
Okay. And so as you point back and you're like, no! Little kitty just goes,
I say, you can't come with me. It's dangerous. Be here with mom and the siblings.
it starts clawing at your toe and your boot, and it's just like swat, 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 swat. And rolls onto its side and just starts chewing on your toes.
I'm gonna have to slowly back away.
Okay. Yeah, and so after enough of backing away, the daddy kitty comes over, grabs it by the back of the neck, and brings it back over to Mama. And the group is free to start heading back north towards Rollid.
My soul hurts. I could have had another friend. It would have been Jasper and the kitty cat.
Starts vibrating furiously.
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
By the time it took you to lose that cat, Vireen is 4 miles down the road in a full sprint. Just
Go by vengeance.
She went back, bought herself a horse.
Yeah. Well, I got a free cat.
No, you didn't. You shunned it away and stunted its brain with your drugs.
Didn't do anything of that sort.
Sure. Now who's the
that cat?
Yeah. Okay. So now, if everybody extinguishes 1 food ration, you guys will be set for the day. And so now, at this point, the group is heading north. Once you guys follow the main trail as it becomes sort of cobbled, as you've hit sort of the main road that leads to Silversheen, there comes a point where you guys know you're going to have to continue farther north and try to find Rollid using the map. It's going to be rough, but you guys can start using your survival checks to make your way up.
Yeehaw.
No. Well, I mean, whoever wants to do it.
I got a nat 20.
Jesus shit. So as you're traveling north of here, you find a good point to kind of break off between some of the hills and start heading on a decent path that heads straight up north towards where Rollid must be. When you come to a bit of a stream, you find a nice like bit of rocks and you kick a big one in so that you can kind of cross without any issues at all. And manage to climb out of this little ditch down here. And again, you're in the fields heading north. Can I get another survival?
I will survive.
Yeah, I knew it was going to play out like that. I got a nat 1.
What? I shouldn't
I knew it. I could feel it in my bones.
Okay. And
Can I get a help action on that?
Nope. And so as the
Take
group
that reroll.
So as the gotta just do the chaos thing. But anyway, so as you guys are heading on the trail some more, Karsken has led the group in a direction after following the river. After you guys took a turn, it seemed like he was heading in the right direction, but it seems like he may have actually been leading you a little bit off. After about an hour's worth of travels, you guys can see that the mountains are now to your right, left, to your left, meaning you're probably heading more towards the coast rather than actually heading up towards the mountains. So we can do another survival check and pretend like nobody saw that.
Ooh, that's a 10. Right in the middle.
This has been a very strange selection of stats. All right, so so you just continue traveling for the next couple of hours in a general direction north towards Rollid, following the map every once in a while. The slopes out here in the hills become more rocky and craggy as you go, but by about nightfall, you guys can see in the mountains in the distance a red-looking tower with black roofs at intermittent positions as it kind of ascends up. You guys can see in the distance this tower arcing out of like one of the highest hillocks, sort of nestled in between two of the croppings of the mountain. So you can see that there's some strange little bit of architecture up there, and one could guess that that must be Rollid, as there is just nothing else to be seen out here. So night's falling, and it looks like that place itself is about 30 minutes to an hour away. So what do you guys want to do? Head on in?
All right, let's beat feet.
Okay, so the party starts cruising up the bit of the slopes here. And once you get far enough up here, you can see that there are a bit of little trails, and one of them seems to be leading a little cobblestone climb all the way up to what appears to be the village itself. Once you guys reach the top up here, you can see that there's a gentle river that flows through from the mountains and kind of breathes around this little section of village. But there's about 10 houses in total, 5 on one bit of a landing, and another group of 5 on a landing below that. There's a small bridge that crosses the river, but the tower in the distance, nobody here is Katoan, so it's hard to say that anybody recognizes this cultural design. But those who are well-traveled recognize the heritage of Katoans, and you can see that this building has sort of like a red clay sort of looking like wood on the outside that's like this bright red color that's kind of highlighted by the full moon. And you guys can see that the black awnings of the different levels of the building, the tower itself, do indeed strike as being a bit different from the typical setups that you guys are used to seeing for architecture out here. But yeah, it does seem like all the windows seem to be like paper covered, but it's hard to tell what the base floor of this place looks like. It's about 4 or 5 stories tall at the tallest. You can tell that there's something of a landing at the top, as if like there's a pinnacle somebody could stand upon. But it looks more like a compound than just a simple tower. So it's hard to tell what's going to go on as you approach. So what would you guys like to do?
Yeah.
So?
Vireen, why were you in such a hurry?
I just heard whispers that we needed to hurry.
Okay, that's kind of a big thing.
It's casual. It's so casual.
We would have went faster. You're hearing whispers?
I'm not hearing whispers. It was just like the wind was like, it was like the essence of the wind was like,
you know,
ye folk.
Yeah,
The wind
totally,
said the words,
totally normal.
and I quote, "Hey, ye folk."
Well, what
Hey,
time is it
ye
right
folk,
now?
Not hey ye folk.
it's like 7:30 p.m.
I think we should try to look for like an inn or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Judging by the size of this
Tell the
place,
party.
there aren't even roads
No?
here.
Oh man.
So there's the 10 houses, and then there's a compound where the tower is.
Yep.
How far away is the compound with the tower?
About 200 feet away. It's like stairway leading up to it, though.
Not quite fireball range.
Perhaps we
nuke
should
in the building.
leave the town a little bit and like camp somewhere in the woods just outside of the town, and then come back during daytime. when there might be people.
Okay. Okay, Karsken, can you give me a survival check?
I mean, I can pick a house again if you guys want to try that.
This is a town full of bandits, I'm assuming.
That's an assumption right there.
Yeah, that's just like
I think
what?
I'd like to just assess this place and see what happens during the daytime.
Yeah, the fact that we know that there's sketchy people here just makes me feel like everyone's sketchy.
Well, I got
Dog. You got a what?
an 8.
Okay, so you pull off to the side, off into a little hillock, and you guys are able to set up a camp. I imagine you're not going to set up a fire, though?
Probably don't need to. It's
Okay.
close to town.
And what are we doing for watch order?
I'd like to go last, so
I'll
can
go
watch
first.
this as close to day.
Okay.
I'll take third.
I'll go first.
I claim first. Get out of
You're
here.
going
I
second.
didn't hear you.
You're going second, Joelle.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't
Okay.
hear him say first.
It's
The
okay,
only one
Joelle.
left.
You did. You just
Guys,
wanted to argue.
Stop fighting. Stop.
Okay, Daddy.
Ooh.
Young Grognard. No. So morning comes and the night passes by
So have
uneventfully.
I.
Oh. But Vireen being on the first watch as day breaks and people are starting to get ready for the morning. All you see out there are all the little dwarf houses, these little cottages start to open up doors, and just dozens of mountain dwarves come peeling out. Some of them are hill dwarves, but for the most part, it's just mountain dwarves. And they all just come walking out with all their farmer's garb, and they start laying out chickens and goats and small animals, and just start like, dink, 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 dink. And they just start wandering about and go about to their farming. And the majority of them seem to be like just common folk. Like they're all just wearing simple clothing. None of them have armor. None of them have weapons. None of them have gear. And they're just a bunch of dwarves going about their little farming business and tending to small crops outside their homes, tending to what appear to be root vegetables. But from up on the hillock, you can see that they're all just really busy with their business. But yeah. And so everybody wakes up, and I'll take a food ration from everybody. Everybody gonna eat a food ration.
I missed the edible napkins.
Don't forget that everyone got 3 rations from me because I bought
Yep.
No.
those 3 for everybody.
Oh. Okay, so everybody's up and at 'em. Vireen relays the information, and from what you guys can see as you look down there, it's exactly what she said. There's just a bunch of little dwarf farmers going about their business, speaking in the dwarven tongue. Who speaks dwarf? I know Vireen does.
Percy does as well.
Okay, and so you guys hear them talking to one another, and they just seem to be saying common phrases like "get over here" or like "let's go" or like "good morning to you" or whatever. And they're just having like dwarvish small talk and just doing their thing. It almost looks like a little dwarf version of Hobbiton. Like a little shire down there.
So we should go check out this compound.
When I say compound, I just mean that it's like a tower, but there's also like a base to it. You know what I mean? Like there's like a building beneath it. So it's not just a conical spire or something like that.
Yeah, but if the dwarven commander is going to be anywhere.
Sure. My point just is that it's not like some big military base or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what's the plan for entering the village again? You're just going to walk in like nothing?
Can we just walk around the village to get to the compound? Oh no, there's a stairway that you have to go to, right.
So who's leading the group?
Probably the people who speak Dwarvish.
So
Yeah.
who's going?
Oh, that's gonna be me and Percy.
True.
Oh, that's swell.
So which one is going to be in the front?
I'll go in the front.
Okay. Okay. So the group kind of conga lines over here and starts heading into the village. And as you guys are heading into the village, the dwarves, all that can see you, immediately look terrified. You can tell all these little mountain dwarves with their dark beards and dark hair, if they're not old or too young, they're scraggly and they're tough looking, but they definitely look like they're just common people. So as they see you coming, they all start to like Like they don't know how to gauge the situation as a group of adventurers who just march up the hill, and they all just sort of like, I don't know, dive behind their little carriages and their little like wheelbarrows and stuff.
So can Vireen hold up her hands and then in Dwarvish just be like, "We don't mean you any harm. We're just passing through."
Can I get a persuasion check?
Oh God. That would be a 7.
Harm will not come to you if you obey my command. No, I'm just kidding. But no, as you say it, some of the dwarves peep their big noses over the tops of the wheelbarrows, and one of them steps forward. And he's an old dwarvish man, and he's walking around now with a little tiny cane. And he approaches you and he says, "What's your business?" And he says it in dwarvish, with a mountain dwarf accent.
We have business with what's the guy's name?
Warjack?
Yep.
Shinzi?
We have business with Warjack. Commander Warjack. Is he commander or is he captain?
You put commander on there and captain. He's just Warjack, man.
I just thought he needed to be really official, okay? The Warhammer needed a title.
And so with that, he gives almost like kind of like he's such a good boy kind of smile. And he points a stubby finger up the hill and he says, "He's right up there."
I appreciate that. And I apologize for giving you fright.
And so he starts laughing to himself and just heads back to work, shaking his head with his little beard drifting side to side as he does.
I thought you were going to apologize and I apologize because I'm going to go kill him now. And then just walk off. I was like,
Good morning.